So, welcome to this beautiful workshop on a Sunday morning. What does self support really look like? It's interesting because, well, let's talk about me first. So, my name is Mel Ryan, and I am a kinesiologist. And I have worked with people for a very long time in unpacking people's stories. So, people come to me and we look at what's not working for them, what's happening, where they're stuck a lot. And for me, particularly, it's really how to understand why they're stuck. So, in understanding the why, we then totally are able to make sense of something that didn't make sense for people. And when we can see something in a different perspective, we get such a different lease in life because that understanding and clarity, when it makes sense, it gives us the freedom to be able to keep going and supporting ourselves. So everything I do is about teaching people how to support themselves better. When I tune in every year, so there's a very beautiful spiritual side in what I do, and I tune in every year to see what kind of theme is coming up. And this year, at the end of last year, it kind of comes in. And this year was really pointing towards the year of self-support. And for me, I was like, I can tick that box. I already do that. And in listening to the year of self-support really unfold over, the last few months that we've had, and particularly the start of this year, it really surprised me pleasantly because it always gives you things to work on. And it wasn't just about talking about, supporting yourself in that way. It's self-support in its entirety allows us to be supported. And it's not just by ourselves that we get to be supported, because that if we shut the door, and a lot of us are very hyper independent, we'll talk about that in a sec, about supporting ourselves, what happens is, I'm fine, I can do it by myself, don't worry about me, I don't need anything. It means that we're blocking off a massive part of allowing ourselves to be supported, whether that be by other people, whether that even be by the universe, whether that be by us finding different ways that we can bring support in without guilt or without feeling bad. And so now when we're looking at self-support, this is why I want to pull it apart to actually make sure that we've tucked in all the ways that we can be supported, not just ourselves, because it's so important that we allow more of ourselves to be supported, particularly this year, because we're so used to sacrificing ourselves and looking after everyone else that we tend to look after ourselves as a leftover. So if you think about, even we're getting better at, say, at the, like bringing in self-care or reading a book or sitting down with a cuppa or something like that. But if you think about that, particularly for a lot of us, we do that when everything else is done. And so I explain that like we're a leftover. It's like we put ourselves in the back of the fridge and get to us when we can. And sometimes it goes moldy. Sometimes we actually don't get to ourselves because things come in and life comes in, and we are so programmed to make sure we do things for everyone else, or we tick the boxes to get things done before we actually move on to allowing ourselves to do things for ourselves. And so that's a really big part of shift the teaching that we've had around self-support, to be able to look at how we can introduce better ways to look after ourselves or to let that in. So all of that in this workshop, there's some beautiful check-ins that I have come up with. And if I have your email, I will absolutely automatically send you those check-ins. But for anyone that's listening, it doesn't DM me or email, and I will send that check-in through to you, because it's a really beautiful way that we can support ourselves this year. So that's about me, and that's about everything I do. So today isn't about, a lot of times when we do workshops, we're really trying to motivate people or hype them up or talk about fixing something that's broken. We're not broken. What this is about not pushing harder. It's about finding a better way to become closer to ourselves. And it's a better version of ourselves, not meaning that we're not amazing, but it's tucking that amazingness in to want to be there to love and support ourselves, and to know that, hey, I should check in with me. I do have needs. I'm going to tune into what my emotion feels like to be able to then go, what do I need from that space? Because we totally dismiss our emotions and lose that ability to come back to that. And so we have these ongoing feelings of sometimes being disconnected. A lot of people are on antidepressants because we just can't find how to move whatever we're sitting in. And so sometimes these beautiful check-ins are a real way to come back to be able to connect with ourselves on a much deeper way. And that's what this workshop is about, setting us up to easily come back to be able to check in with us in a deeper way. So it's not just about the year ahead, but it is about changing how we look at this and do this year. So it's not pressure. It's about a safety net where you can ensure that you've got you no matter what. So you can take the time to step out, pause, breathe, and then look at what you need to come back in. And that's something that's so important to set up. And if we do it in a solid writing foundational way, we always have that, particularly in the times when we're rushed or busy or overwhelmed or life is happening. We already have that on the side, and that's so beautifully important. So take a breath for a sec, have a little drink while we do this. My trusty little water bottle. I want you to think, for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you feel like you support yourself right now? So note that somewhere on a scale of 1 to 10. How well do you feel like you support yourself physically? So with eating and exercise and moving and sleep and everything. Emotionally, with knowing how you feel about things, and particularly then having a voice for that emotion, or being able to find a way that you keep exploring that to be able to move some emotions, or even just be aware of what we're sitting in particular with different situations or different people. Mentally, so mentally is particularly important when we think about the voice that we listen to. So do you wake up this morning and then roast yourself about how you look, or that you didn't go to bed, or what you're wearing, or your body, or something that you might have done yesterday? Or is it a beautiful supportive voice that really checks in to be excited about your day, that knows what you're working on and what you're doing? So mentally is a really big part of us supporting ourselves, because we really seem to have that mean girl voice in the background that's judging us and continuously putting us down. And we're so used to it that we're not even aware that we do it. So that's a big part of what we work on in the workshops and that we do, is really being able to listen to that voice. Spiritually, how well do you support yourself spiritually? Do you have a spiritual practice where you try and connect in with what your higher self wants to tell you, or your connection with your guides or your loved ones? Write in a journal? Do you have a candle? Do you do sound healing? Is there like a card? Are there things in that spiritual side? How well are you going spiritually? And financially is something I've also added into how we are going to support ourselves moving forward, because financially there's a lot of guilt around finance. A lot of people grew up with religion or parents, or being shamed about money, or feeling that money isn't a safe thing to have, or if it is, there's a real unhealthy relationship with money. And so I've put this in as something that we're going to explore this year too, because there's a lot of shifts that we can do around that I think are really important. Add to that, how supported do you actually feel right now? So let's move to the outside rather than the inside of us, by others. So if you think about your family that you live with, or your workplace, or your work environment, school environment, whatever environment that you're in, how supported do you actually feel right now? And there is a good check-in with that. It's like, how much do we also voice what we need in that space, which we're going to look at? And then how supported do you feel like by life and the life that you've set up for you, where you live, what you do, what your routine looks like? Because we seem to, so many people say, I don't have time. And if we think about 24 hours in a day, but we still don't have time for things, it's like, how much have we gone in setting that up, and how much are we supporting ourselves in that? And lastly, by the universe. So if you think about that, we are in that relationship with the universe, with us trying to support ourselves and make our way through life. There is that connection with, do you feel like things are going the way that you feel is good for you, or do you feel there's a real pushback? And so you're, we call it unlucky, or why does this keep happening to me? So for me, when we look at what does self-support really mean, we step out of all that, it's learning to listen to myself instead of overriding ourselves. So if you think about the overriding, and where that comes from. When we override ourselves, it's because we have a voice that often isn't ours that comes in with the shoulds. You should do this, or people expect this of you, or your family expects this of you. So we want to listen to ourselves, and we have all of the feelings happening and everything going on, but we're so good at disconnecting from being present to what we're saying that check-in doesn't happen. The other part of self-support for me is staying present with discomfort. So we often, particularly in grief, we're taught to get over things. And so when we're continuously trying to get over things, we're not actually sitting in, wow, that means a lot. That has forever changed me. What is that going to look like moving forward for me? Could I do something differently? Is there something in there, a message for me? And so sitting in that discomfort instead of rushing to just be better, sometimes we can find something that was missing that was going to be our takeaway from that. And that is a new way of doing something or a new way of being. And so being able to find what that is means that if this is a pattern or a lesson that we're learning, perhaps we don't have to do it in quite a most awful way that seems to keep happening. So it's seeing our patterns and being able to recognize that. But it's the sitting in it. Responding to myself with compassion instead of criticism. I just highlight that word compassion this year because we tend to have the voice that I was saying before, and we're not being able to look at that in a way that is self-supportive, but always trying to achieve. So we are never in present time or in future time. I have to, I've got to look at this, I've got to do that. I'm up to this, I'm trying to study this. These are all the jobs that I have to achieve today. And so we're continuously moving our way through a list, whether it's in our head or on paper, but we're not in present time to then have that celebration or that little bit of self-support or self-love that comes in, or self-admiration. What a beautiful word. And we skip it. And then unless we've done everything on that list, which, and face it, our list can get longer and longer as the day goes on, we're going to miss out on that moment that we can actually come back and admire ourselves or be proud of ourselves or be in that moment that, wow, look at me, I'm doing this. This is amazing. We just push it out to the end so that self-love is moving away from us. Letting our needs matter without needing permission. It's really interesting because when little kids set up a foundation when they need something from their mums or love or attention, they often become sick. Just a high temperature or, something that's going on. But it's the fastest way to stop a mum. And it's the fastest way to bring someone to you when you're little is to be able to be unwell. And so people come and gather around you. So if you think about letting my needs matter without needing permission, we set that up when we were little. We know that, hey, if I break my leg, I'm going to let people help me. If I'm sick, I'm going to let people help me. If someone's passed away or I'm going to let people feed me. If there's a lot going on in my life, I'm then going to let help in. But I only let help in if I think there's a valid reason that I should be allowed to let it in. Instead of having it open all the time, that having our needs met and helping others so that help, it comes in and out and in and out, it should just flow. And we have moments that it is part of our life, that it's just the exchange. But we've set up so long ago that don't worry about me, it's fine, I can do it by myself. There's a real guilt around receiving help. And so that guilt then blocks us from saying yes to receiving help. So we think we can only have our needs met when we get something wrong with us. And so then permission comes along from us. So it's a big thing for us to be aware of, that you can just allow your need to be met. And then how do we do that without guilt? So we have to keep working on being present to choose what the exchange is going to look like. We think that we talk about grateful. We've just done a beautiful workshop on that a while ago. And it's really interesting the way we do grateful, because if something happens, if someone does something for me, it's almost like I treat it like a debt. So I then have something I need to repay. Hey, someone bought me lunch or dinner, or someone bought me the coffee, or you paid for this last time, or you picked me up, so our gratefulness is almost like a future to-do list. And there's not just the joy. Grateful is meant to be such a beautiful joy of the surprise in something that came in for you, which is how often the universe wants to give to us, we block that because when we treat grateful like a debt to repay, we're doing the same thing. We have to earn something. So that whole letting my needs matter without needing permission is a whole new way to open a doorway for us to explore this year. And then learning I don't need to be fixed to be supported. We don't need to be fixed. We are exactly who we're meant to be in what is going on in our life right now. And our life and what's happening is going to absolutely reflect what we're learning and where we're at. And if we have a lot of issues with being blocked or things not happening for us, it's us allowing ourselves to adjust. Hey, let's step out and look at what's going on. What can I change? Can I ask for help? Can I let things in? What does that look like for me? So supporting is a very different word to being fixed. Supporting is an ongoing, beautiful energy exchange that we're going to step in and allow ourselves to be part of. So it's really knowing how are we going to reframe that differently for us, but more how are we going to undo blocking ourselves from receiving, because receiving doesn't feel comfortable for so many of us. If you think about it, do you find it easier to give or receive? Probably 99% of us are going to go, oh, absolutely, a giver. I love giving it. It helps me feel good about myself. I feel connected to people when I give. I feel alive when I see someone have that beautiful moment of something that they get that I've been involved in. And yet, how often do we block that from happening to us? And so even, if we're in the kitchen making something for dinner and someone says, hey, do you want help? How often do we go, yes, tuck it in, let's do it together? Or do we go, no, don't worry, I've got this? Like, how often is that like, I've got this, don't worry about it. I'm fine, I can do it. So even listening to the language that we'll do to connect with everyone, to be able to say, yes, let's team this, let's create a team, let's do this together, is a whole different way to start opening the door to be supported. Now, when we said that line before, it's like, how beautiful is it to watch the reaction that someone has when we give to them? We deny people that far. And that's such an important thing to realize and remember. If I'm saying, no, I don't need help, then one, I'm setting up the I don't need help boundary. So people are not going to easily step into that because I'm so hyper independent. And that's such a big thing that we're going to talk about. It means that I'm denying you the joy from feeling connected to me, to be able to be part of my life, part of my support, part of my solutions, part of making things easier for me. And life is meant to be that beautiful exchange, whereas we block all of that exchange happening. Just jumping up to where I want to be. This is the bit of it. So support as we currently know it, we try to support ourselves. We think, yeah, I've got this. I'm going to support myself. I've got my little list set up today. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to the gym. I might have a walk. I've got my food planned. I've done some shopping. I'm all organized. And then life happens. And so this is how we currently do self-support. Because we've been taught when we're little to be responsible, then what happens is we take on responsibility for everything and everyone else. And the more overly responsible we are, that feels really safe. We know our purpose, we know what we're doing. But when life comes along, a drama for someone else's drama or something else, or something happens over here, we instantly move out of our bath and we jump into their bath or their life or their story or their bubble or whatever analogy we want to use, because we're totally self-abandoning now when we're jumping into what they need. And self-sacrifice feels safe for us. So we don't even check in with ourselves for days, particularly when there's a drama going on. We can get to the point that we're not eating, we're not sleeping, because we're so involved in something else. Our self-care goes out the window, and it's just for this little moment while this is happening. But because we're such beautiful givers and people have learned to come to us, sometimes we have more than one of those situations going on at once. So we've got 4 friends and a family member and, one of our kids or one of our besties going through something, or our partners, that we now totally have stopped checking in with us for weeks. And so we're just getting through and we get to the point that we're exhausted. And then ironically, guess what happens? We get sick, because being sick, even though it might not be our mum looking after us, we then give ourselves permission to look after us, because it's got to this point that nothing else was going to stop us. And so it's recognizing those patterns to be able to go, hey, I'm allowed to have a check-in, which we're about to talk about, while this is going on. I need, I've got my list, and this is why we do the lists now, because it means that I can have that emergency check-in list when because I'm a giver. So I'm absolutely going to go and support these beautiful people in my life, but maybe I'm going to do it in a way that I don't totally self-abandon me. And that's the beautiful part of self-support is I take me with me everywhere I go. I make sure I've got me. I've checked in with me. I've got my strategies to make sure that, hey, I'm not going to absolutely get myself to the point where I get sick and I'm in bed for 4 days because I have exhausted everything I had to give. Or I had to break something, so I have a break, literally, and I don't have to get up and do things, which you see happen all the time. So because we've been taught to be responsible, this is what happens. Also, when we're little, we go back to the rule. When we're little and we were called selfish, we learned that that was the worst possible thing to be called. And when you're called selfish, it's something inside you. It makes us want to totally prove, because we need love from other people before ourselves. We then go, you can never call me selfish again. I'm going to prove to you literally that I don't care about myself. And that's how we were set up as little kids. And so when you think about that, this self-abandonment was a privilege. Like we excelled at it, because then we got, oh, you're so good. You're so caring. Wow, you're such a beautiful sharer. You're so thoughtful for everyone else. But we didn't tuck ourselves in all the way back then. And so now when we come to trying to receive or even trying to give ourselves when there's a crisis, we have guilt. It feels bad. It feels weird for us. And that's because the setup for that was all the way back here. And so it's learning how to soften that for us. And it's really knowing where that came from, because it's not just being able to change it. We have to understand it. And so that selfish line comes with self-abandonment. We have to throw the word out. We have to absolutely unpack or reframe all of that concept to be able to go, my needs matter too, just as much as the other person's. By all means, care for other people. We just have to bring ourselves into the same space that we love other people with. And that's the absolute key to developing our self-support, but we really have to understand why it came about. And so that why it feels weird and it feels uncomfortable is because of the program that we were taught when we were little. So being responsible is seen as a great thing, but then when we become overly responsible, we then can't let anything in. We're the ones that do everything by ourselves. So from that, our needs don't matter and we're going to look after everyone else. So we try and support ourselves, but then we throw ourselves out the window when something happens. So that's one way. The next way that we try and support ourselves is the self-sabotagey way. So if you think about the start of the year, particularly, a lot of people go, hey, here's my goals for the year. And we write goals, and the goals that we tend to do are achievements, which we can then have judgment next to. So achievements are lose weight or get fitter or change something about me that I didn't like about me, that I wasn't happy about me, which is not the compassionate voice or the understanding why voice, it's the judgment voice. So then I come in and I set up a goal about that. And the minute that I sabotage that, so it's the self-support with self-sabotage as your best friend next to it. That's what this bit is. It means that I then can introduce the non-compassionate voice and keep roasting me the whole time. So I've fallen off what I was going to do and my goal isn't achieved. And so we put so much emphasis on that. It's the win or lose space. It's not a safe place emotionally for us. How we get around that in our self-support is, instead of the goal being an achievement, and by all means we can tuck those into this, what we do is we turn it into how I want to feel. So instead of losing weight, I want to feel confident in my body. I want to feel stronger. I want to feel fit. I want to feel like I can not be afraid if someone asks me to go on a mountain climb and I can do the mountain climb. So it could be I want more sleep. It's like, but I want to feel rested. So it's not just sleep. It's like I want to feel rested, which means I can then introduce rested into my day in lots of different pockets. The same with feeling strong. I can introduce that into pockets in my day by making choices in what I do. So when we set up what I call a word, this is how we do the beautiful self-supporting is you find a word which could be stronger, it could be brave, it could be confident, it could be energized, empowered, using my voice. So it could be talking. All of that, when we set up a word that we know that we're working on, it shifts us into a way that we're now continuously moving away from self-sabotage and setting up the win, lose, fail, achieve. And we know that we're working on something in around lots of little ways for us. The reason that we sabotage and self-sabotage is such a big topic is because there's something, if you can't let things in, if you think about it, so let's go back to our overgiving. So I've been at work, I've had to work late because, my boss is trying to do something and we're all trying to do it together, but a few people had to leave. So I'm in because I'm the overly responsible in for the long haul, totally exhausted. There's things going on with my family. There's something else going on with a friend. So the feeling that I need to be connected to myself is the in. I need an in, I need a pause, I need permission to rest or time or something. And because I aren't so self-aware in that, I've set up so many things that I want to do, but the sabotage comes in because self-sabotage is really us trying to give us a secret feeling that we wanted. Now, it sounds really weird and there's lots more that we talk about on this, so it's just a little insight. But for me, if I came home from work and I then ate the chocolate that I didn't want to eat, I can't stop that. I'm trying to stop it, and then I'm mad at myself, of course, because I've eaten the chocolate or, had the wine or the ciggy or whatever people talk about, or things that we use to sabotage ourselves. A lot of people do Maccas on the way home because it's a feeling, the feeling that you're trying to get, which is the 5 minute, I call it a quick in. It's like I'm stealing it in. The 5 seconds of love is chocolate, and yet it doesn't last and it doesn't turn into love because then I potentially have that self-loathing moment that I have, but I need it because I didn't find a way that I could let in any of this self-support, self-love, self-anything. And so my little inner child that we talk about in our sabotage, the self-sabotage is our little inner child going, hey, I need something. I've missed out all day. You need to give me something. And so we quickly give ourselves that without even thinking. And that's why the self-sabotage is so quick. We don't think about it because we're just feeling a need that we had that we didn't even realize that we had. So why we do all of this is because we're setting up conscious checkpoints and check-ins to make sure that we are tucking in ourselves all day in tiny little ways. And so when we have that, it's quite surprising that self-sabotage dissipates and we don't keep doing the habits that we wanted to get out of, but we don't understand. We don't consciously work on it. It's just a beautiful side effect that happens with it. And the last one, which we've mentioned a little bit, is that I try, but because I'm so hyper independent, I don't know how to receive, which also can be because we've had moments where we've asked people to help before and they didn't. And so we were then left in a situation where everything turned to crap because the person that was meant to support us didn't support us. And so when we've had situations like that, instead of us looking at, hey, what's my takeaway from that? How can I do that different? What did I need? And sometimes life just goes awful in ways and things don't work. We then instead, we lose our trust. And so then we go, I'm just not going to ask anyone. It's easier to do it myself. There's a line that I've said so many times, and it's unlearning that. And so many people coming going, yeah, it's way easier to do it myself than it is to let someone else help me or teach someone else. So that hyper independent can come from that trauma of being let down so many times. And it's reframing that to be able to adjust in that moment, because life continuously does that to us. And it's us learning to support ourselves in it instead of shutting our world down to then not let people in because of it. Again, it also feels really uncomfortable to receive. And that's what we were talking about before with our childhood. And there's a real unworthiness in that. So sometimes, we go through when we're talking about grateful too, there's a debt to repay. If we feel like we haven't done anything, we feel like we don't deserve it. So say if I was the universe and I want to give you, say, $50,000, there's a lot of us that have a block in that because we feel like, I know we'd love it, but we also feel like in some ways we don't deserve it. We feel like we have to earn the money. There's a real exchange. You have to earn it. There's so many things that have been taught in that. You can't things just don't happen. You have to earn it. You have to deserve it. And so because of that, we set up these blocks with unworthiness without even consciously realizing that we're doing it. And so we feel very uncomfortable when things come in that we don't think that there's a space for it, instead of just letting the exchange happen. If you think about how many times that we've helped people and then the energy of that is waiting for us universally. If you could do a little poll of how many times you've received and how many times you've helped, if you had the little graph, your giving would be up here and your receiving would be down here. If we're meant to make that an even spread, can you imagine what's waiting for us to come in that we're not letting in? Such a beautiful thought, isn't it? To be able to go, wow, there's so much good out there that's just floating around. How am I going to allow that into my space, particularly from this year, which is something that we're definitely going to keep working on. So what's my time? Physical ways to support yourself. So there's two ways we're going to talk about this. One is ways that we can do it, but the second part of this is ways that we can receive support, because it's such a beautiful part of us being able to have both doors open, both of those doors open in support. So physically, if you think about it, it's listening to our body's signals. So if someone asks you to do something and you go, oh, it's the last thing I want to do, it's feeling that means something. And it's being able to go, hey, what can I do about that? Do I have a plan B? Can I rearrange that instead of stepping into the automatic yes? It's how can I rearrange that so it feels better for me? So it's listening to our body's signals instead of pushing through them. And if you think about that line, gosh, we push through so many things. Creating rest without needing to earn it. I love this. It's like creating rest without needing to earn it is, can you read the book in the morning instead of last thing at night? So I'm not the leftover, I'm the choice. Let me be the choice, the first choice. And so we set up little ways in our day that we have pockets of rest, pockets of things that we can do as little surprises that make our day feel amazing. It's nourishing ourselves in simple, consistent ways rather than extremes. Because often we store it up and once a month we'll go do something instead of the little tiny ways that we can introduce that in a day. Still do you once a month, but let's add some things in. Ways that we can receive support. So this is physically allowing others to help without justifying it or explaining it. Just let them. It's that beautiful, okay, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be amazing. It's moving things without guilt. So it's really consciously undoing the guilt to be able to receive any kind of love or care from anyone, including ourselves. Accept help when we're tired and know that we're tired. Let someone cook or do something else for you and ask in that space. Absolutely ask, make a team. So if you notice that you're really tired, you can make a team. Hey, can we swap this? I'll do this. You can do this today. I'll do this tomorrow. So making teams is such a beautiful way of supporting ourselves as well. Ways for you to support you is taking a walk, having a bath. These are the beautiful extra little pockets. Have a shower, use body wash in the shower, use body scrub in the shower, stretch your body, stretch for 5 minutes before you get up, listen to everything that your body's saying. So it's such a beautiful reconnection mentally. So I can send this list to people too as well. If you send me your email, I'll make sure that we have this and then the little check and then I'm about to read in a sec. So our mental ways is being aware of the voice that we listen to and the voice that we're using for ourselves. It's the question, this is my favorite question in the world, and we ask it all the time. How do I feel? And what do I need right now? It's the pause. How do I feel? So before I just answer yes or no to someone, it's like, how do I feel? And what do I need right now? Imagine if we asked ourselves that at least once a day. It's that beautiful, I'm now consciously aware and I'm choosing me. I'm not my leftover. I'm choosing me first. It's letting go of the pressure to have everything figured out, particularly mentally. It's those lists, that list needs more space in it, because do we have to have everything done on that list? How movable are those lists? Can we sneak pockets of us in, even if it's 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, instead of trying to get the whole hour or 2 hours? Ways that we can receive, it's letting ourselves be guided instead of doing it all alone. Someone else knows how to do something. There's 8 billion people on the planet. So someone's going to know more than you in something. Let them find out, investigate, all of that. We're so good now at letting ChatGPT help us, which is a way as well, but it's also letting people in to help us in that beautiful exchange. Taking in reassurance without dismissing it. Compliments. We did a beautiful workshop on that, how to take a compliment, because we just fob them off. It's like, how do we let compliments land? Because genuinely, people really want to be there and want to congratulate us and want to celebrate us. And so it's learning how to celebrate us with people, which is such a beautiful way to see what someone else sees. And we don't look at ourselves through anyone else's eyes. We look at ourselves through the judgment eyes. And so we can't let compliments land. Whereas we are amazingly beautiful people and we do some so beautiful things for other people and we're so caring and thoughtful. And yet we don't even let that in, or we don't acknowledge that. So it's stepping out to be able to see ourselves through other people's eyes, to be able to let that land for us properly. So it's receiving support, it's receiving love. Let someone else help me. Let someone else help me think things through. Sorry. So it's, sometimes we need that reconnection with people to be able to make sense of something. So it's using other people to bounce our ideas off, remembering that their opinion is their opinion. We don't have to have or take their opinion. We can just let their opinion maybe give us a different view or a different idea or a different thought process or a different thread. But it's moving away from always having to do it someone else's way. It's bouncing what we have in there. So opinions are rules, they come from places. Opinions come from a foundation, and that foundation may or may not be someone's truth. It could be society's truth, or, the rules we grew up with little kids, or the church's rules, or some kind of rules. And so it's being able to explore that space when we receive support. It's knowing that, hey, where is that coming from? Because that person's who's telling me, it might come from somewhere that's locked in for them, but we can still use that in a way that we can take away what we need. That's the beautiful part, that take away. You don't have to do things other people's way. You can feel into what feels right for you. And so supporting ourselves is listening to them, but more importantly, really listening to us. That's a real part of letting things land. And if we do things the way we should do it, or what someone else tells us to do, often we get lost to us. So it's another form of self-abandonment. But the feeling that would come in, it would feel awful. We would feel disconnected from ourselves or frustrated. You can feel it's icky. You can feel that in your body. So it's being really present to that, to be able to go, oh, that's not right for me. How can I step out? This is the pause and the step out for the check-in to go, oh, what do I need right now? How can I support myself? What is it that is going to feel better for me? And so it's that real clarity in there. Ways you can support yourself mentally, write things down instead of holding them in your head. Sometimes when we write them down, we can see it differently because we've got that step out. Take a break from overthinking. Music is beautiful for that. Put a song on that you can follow the song, and it gives you a pause from that real overthinking space. Or read something. Reading also does the same thing. That's why people love reading, because we get to check out for a little while, and it just gives us that space to be able to let things process. Emotionally, ways to support ourselves is allowing emotions to exist without fixing them or dismissing them. It's like, and that's a beautiful thing of writing things down. How do I feel? And it could be, the validating our emotions or our feelings instead of minimizing it. I am allowed to be angry, or I'm allowed to be disappointed, or allowed to be frustrated, or I'm allowed to feel this. And it's really letting that be part of our story to know this is where I'm at right now. I'm allowed to be where I'm at right now. So it's staying present when things are really uncomfortable is a really important way to, again, check in with what we need. Ways to receive support. It's like, I love this. It's like be witnessed without being rescued. Often when we need to talk to someone about something or we're in very big periods of grief or something's happened, people want to fix us because we're uncomfortable with other people just being stuck in emotion. We're uncomfortable with ourselves, but we're also uncomfortable with other people. Other people are also uncomfortable with us as well. So what happens is we all want to be better for each other, which means we're all not sitting in any kind of emotion, exploring it. Letting yourself be witnessed is like that. Find the person that has the space to go, wow, yes, I totally get that. You could feel that. That's a lot for you right now. That's so interesting. That's so amazing that you can feel that. But it's just letting you feel that without fixing it or saying, hey, you'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Try something else to do. All of that. It's fixing it means that it's reminding us that we're not allowed to have a feeling. We're not allowed to sit in that, which means we're going to self-abandon as well. So find people that encourage us to just sit in what we're feeling. Sometimes being witnessed in that feeling is all that we need, because to know that someone else could feel the same way that we would feel or hold the space for us for that is such a beautiful part of emotional support. Know that your emotions aren't a burden. There's a lot that we talk about with that too. We feel like we can't be disappointing to other people because we want to always be up or we want to always feel well. So when we have that, we can't then, I don't want to burden them. I don't want to share how I feel with someone because I don't want to let people down. And so there's a really big part of us not being able to sit in our emotions because of that. Ways you can support yourself is explore that with someone. Do a workshop. There's lots of them. There's 67, I think, workshops we have that really help us unpack things for ourselves. Cry, feel your emotion, go for a walk, express it, dance, do something that helps you move it. Sometimes, we've spoken about if your emotion is so intense, sometimes you can't even name it. So sometimes it is the going to the gym, punching something, as in a punching bag, not a person, running. All the things that help move really intense emotions are really important. Listening to loud music. I have a lot of guys that go, I get really into that because it just helps me clear stuff. It's amazing. So find what works for you, but that's not the end. It's like, why did I need that? That beautiful question, why? It's like, I know that it's supporting me, but why did I need that? Because that becomes one of the things in our check-ins to go, hey, this is really important for me. This is what I'm going to look at in my future. And if I know that I'm getting to that point, I can quickly put that music on or find that gym session that I need. And so it's the pocket that I have of self-support is already set up for me. Spiritually, for me, it's like ways to support yourself. Spiritual support is feeling connected to me, to my big picture, to knowing what I'm working on, to my soul team, that I have that are always aligned with my highest good. Sometimes I just, think it should be different. And so if I don't feel aligned, which we were saying before, if I feel like things aren't going right, it's the real pause and the coming back to go, hey, what's happening? If things don't feel right, it's what's happening. Let's find that moment of how we connect, which is trusting the big picture or trusting my higher self. And often it's the slowing down, because when we're rushed, which is what we were saying before, I'm in everyone else's life doing stuff, I'm not present to me, which means I'm not feeling connected to me. And so ask for ways to receive support in our spiritual space. Ask for guidance, ask for a sign. Give me a sign I'm on the right track. All of that. Send me a rainbow. Send me something that's going to help me know that we're aligned right now. Sometimes if I'm in a situation where things don't feel like they're in the right path right now, It's stepping out to let things unfold, or particularly people I love. If I don't like where I think they are at, it's asking for someone to look after them. So it's keeping that big picture, so I'm not always feeling like I have to control the situation, which is part of that self-support. It's like, let other people help me, letting the team help me, knowing that there's a bigger picture for everyone, not just me. So the check-ins, this is the last little bit of what I wanted to talk about. And again, of course, having your email, I'm going to send this to you. And I've got more check-ins that I will send you emotionally and physically and monthly, that kind of thing. But this is the beautiful one that I want to share with you today. It's the how did I go this week check-in. So for me, I say to most people I work with, if we set up a weekly check-in, and sometimes if we're in a bad place, we can do daily. And some of us, if we know that we particularly self-abandon at work, we absolutely could do that daily in our diaries. So we've got a check-in at work, or we could do it at home in our families, because that's another place where we totally self-abandon, or if we've got a lot going on. So how did I go this week? The first question is, am I okay? How often do we ask that to ourselves? Am I okay? We ask everyone else that question, but we often don't ask ourselves. So that's, of course, the first question. How do I feel? And if you're particularly doing this at work or in your family or with a relationship, you would add that in this space to that if you're really working on a check-in in that space. What am I working on right now? What am I working on? Because knowing that, hey, I'm working on having a voice. I'm working on not overgiving or setting boundaries at work. I'm working on not being a leftover. I'm working on allowing myself to ask for help. I'm working on not being more efficient in my time. So I'm working on finding pockets where I can look after myself and self-care in my day rather than the end of the day. Like, what am I working on? How did I go this week? And then it's the check-in, what worked and what didn't. What did I feel like I was on top of? Where did I feel like I tucked myself in? Where did I totally abandon myself? And what was that? So what didn't? It's like, why didn't it? And it could be this bomb went off in someone's life. And so I totally stopped doing all my little check-ins, and I then made sure that they were fine. And so if that's you, if you know that you do that, I would make myself, because this is all about self-support, I would make myself my emergency check-in list, which when a bomb goes off in someone's life, I know that I make sure I have my cuppa before I leave, that I don't overstay, that I make sure that I feel like I'm still putting in the areas I need to put in, that I make sure I have my walk, because having a walk makes me feel like I can breathe. So I make sure, even if that walk had to be 15 minutes, not an hour, the fact that we go, oh, don't worry, it's only 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a pocket. It's not the whole hour that we wanted, but the pocket still means I'm supporting me. So for me, it's like, what do my little pockets look like of self-support that are like the emergency self-support things? And people use coffee and all that kind of stuff. And while I get that, it can also kill our adrenals and keep us, overworking. And we do it as a reward because we're in a crisis. So it's like, what's something that's not because I'm in a crisis, it's because I actually genuinely love myself. What am I putting in here? It's the hand cream in the bag. How long does that take? 2 minutes. But it's little tiny things. It's making sure I take my makeup off before I go to bed. It's pockets that really start to make sure we're supporting ourselves. Am I using my voice, or have I stopped? So these are our check-ins. So these are the specific ones that we know that we need to keep working on. Did I stop using my voice this week? Did I stop asking for help? Did I just couldn't be bothered anymore? Did I know what my boundaries are, or did I move them? Was my yes genuine? Did I say yes and roll my eyes, or did I say yes and move it to I really want to do this. I'm really choosing to do this. Am I present to how I feel? Have I been checking into how I feel about certain situations? Is there situations in my life this week that if I tune in, then I'm like, that doesn't actually feel that good. And so it's being able to pinpoint what they are, because they're the ones that we're going to look at. Am I focusing on other people's needs? And in that process, am I actually sacrificing myself? Or is there a choose to in that? Am I choosing to, and I'm choosing what I give without overgiving to the point that I'm exhausted? Because remember the pattern, we keep doing that. We'll get exhausted, we'll get sick, and then we get to hang out with ourselves. Let's hang out with ourselves as we support other people as well. Am I looking after myself the way I want? Wow, such a beautiful question. Not to set up as a judgment, but to set up as a, hey, that's a check-in. What worked, what didn't? What could I do better this week? Which is the, hey, maybe I should meal prep. Maybe I should work out. I am going to absolutely set my bedtime for this time. So it means I know that I'm getting a decent sleep, or I can start my day with ... Or am I leaving myself to last? So am I a leftover this week? It's like, am I at the back of the fridge hoping someone finds me, which is me? Or am I going to go moldy because I can't get to me because all the crises are happening? So it's like, bring myself to the front. Do I feel like I'm part of a team? Am I making teams in my relationships? And a team means, particularly in families, particularly when it comes to looking after people, because we've moved from the year that we didn't work and that was the job, to now we've just kept that, and we've kept working and looking after people, and, you know, even with partners doing the lawns and everything else. Like, we've added more and more and more and more jobs to our days, but to team it could be something that changes your whole foundation in your family, making teams, particularly with everyone that we live with. Turn houses, that's one little tip, when you have older kids, into share houses. So you kick everyone out and you bring people back in. If you lived in a share house, what would your responsibilities be? And it's a whole different way that you can change up the rules in a house where you've been the one that used to care for everyone. Now it becomes the even house where everyone else begins to form a team. Anyway, that's just a fun tip. Yeah, do I feel like I'm doing everything by myself? That's a beautiful check-in. Do I feel like I'm doing everything by myself? Because that comes back to team. If you are, what can we do to support you with a voice, with new rules, with changing things in a family, with all that? What is that going to look like for us? Am I overgiving, or am I asking for help? Did I ask for help this week? That's a beautiful one. Did I ask for help this week? Because if we say no, where can I change that? What do I need right now? And so between now and my next check-in, what am I going to need? And how can I give that to me? So again, these are just questions that I've come up with. And then we've got like a monthly check-in and a quarterly check-in. Different people need different things. If you're in a new relationship, a check-in, we often do a check-in daily or even every couple of days for people in new relationships, because we tend to lose ourselves quite quickly. So check-ins are just such beautiful ways that we're going to support ourselves this year. And whatever you're working on, if you need, send me a message and we can work that out together. There's, as I was saying, on Thursday night, actually moving into the fun things that we have going on. This Thursday night, I have a dinner, and it's the How Am I Going to Learn How to Support Myself Better dinner. It's in Shannick's in Berwick. And there's a few more spots for that if anyone wants to come along. And it's really just getting together with like-minded people, chatting about different ideas we have, how we have supported ourselves, how we haven't supported ourselves, what we're working on. And it's very informal, and it's such a safe place for people to be able to just find real support and share. So that is open if anyone wants to jump into that. And the food is delicious, let me tell you, it's divine. And they look after us really well. The next part is there are 67, soon to be 70, we're getting our way through them, workshops that are on unpacking different topics. So we were talking about before. They're also available. There's a list that I have if anyone wants that. They're around $30 each. And they really just help unpack something, whether it be anxiety, whether it be how to support people that aren't supporting themselves, whether it be things to do in your life of what you are looking at or trying to understand, heaps of them. And so I highly recommend. Last little thing that I want to talk about is I have a retreat in Geelong coming up in 3 weeks, I think it is. There's 2 spots left. That is where we deep dive into unpacking your story. So it's very personalized, even though there's other people. And that beautiful part of that is where you get to look at where you've been through your childhood, what that means, what you're working on, and also then for you to be able to do your self-support list and do your empowered choices list. So we work out where we're blocked, why we're blocked, what's happening, why we still get blocked, why we sabotage ourselves, all of that really in depth. And then we really do an empowered choice where you know how to work your way through what's happened for any situation in future in your life. And then you can know that you've got you. You're never going to abandon you again. And the girls that have done the work, the retreat, with me have just said, I can never stuff myself over again. I can never do it because I understand everything about my life. So it's been amazing watching people shift in that space. And so I love it. And this is why I do all of this work, to be able to teach you more and more about how to support yourself, because that's why we're here in life, is to be able to look at what's going on for us and get ourselves through life in the best, most self-supporting, self-loving way. And so that's me. I hope that you did get something out of that today. If you want the notes on that, there also is a recording available. Again, put your email in my DMs and I'll make sure that you have it. But what a beautiful start to our Sunday morning. So I hope that you got something out of that, and love to all. And I will see you all in something soon that we're doing.